everyone. I think we are going to start in less than 10 seconds. Before that, I'll just set the context. We have already been joined by Prateek Bhamri, retired Navy official. In a minute's time, we are going to talk about a very important subject, which is about security and mostly pertaining to what we are catering is the cybersecurity. To let you all know that this meeting is getting recorded and it's live on our 3 platform at present, which is about Zoom, X, and YouTube. With that, I would like to welcome Prateek. And before I speak, I'll just give you a short intro of Prateek. So Captain Prateek Bhamri, a retired head of cybersecurity and blockchain for Spiro, Africa's largest EV company, a times 100 company, a cybersecurity evangelist, and a military veteran with an overall experience of 15 plus years in managing cybersecurity. Welcome to you today, Prateek. Risk management with UVCA environment, specialized in strategy, planning, GRC, Sec operation, audit, and L&D in information security. Prateek has been expert in heading cross-functional teams, securing critical infrastructure systems, engineering, innovation, R&D, prototyping, and evaluation of high assurance, secure solutions. Now, before we talk to Prateek, I'd also like to set the context that, hello, as you know, my name is Abhishek. I'm the founder at SecureDApp. I'm pleased to be here today talking to all of you at second episode of SecureDApp's Bharat Security Initiative. We have organized this session to discuss strengthening customers' data privacy, blockchain security solution in India. Very important. And we have been seeing that with the advent of DPTP coming, this is a time that we should be taking it seriously. A crucial aspect of securing India's rapidly evolving digital landscape. We appreciate you for taking time today to join us and to be part of this important conversation. I'd also like to tell you that most of you who are going to participate in the poll, which will have live during the conversation, are also going to get SecureDApp's Level Up Academy certification. And also there would be a quiz, and there are some lucky listeners may stand a chance to get marks from SecureDApp. So with that, I would like to start. Hi, Prateek. How are you doing today?
Hi, Abhishek. Thank you so much for welcoming me for this particular session. And especially it was aligned around India, so I couldn't say no to this. Had it been a general normal discussion of blockchain, I would have given it a second thought. But it was because we were thinking about strengthening the posture around India, how blockchain technology can probably affect the nation, support the nation. So then that was it. I thought that let's go ahead for this particular session, which was quite interesting.
And let me tell you, I would like to give a tribute to everyone that we have lost as a nation. Since you come from a Fauji background and army background, I can feel what you might be going through and whole of India is going through. So I just give my tribute to everybody who has passed away before we start this.
Thank you so much. As just a gesture, I thought that let the background be of the national flag. So yeah, thank you so much.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. So Prateek, before I start, I'll just set the context and would love to know a bit about your career. How did it shaped up? I think that will be a better before I take up any particular questions from you.
From the old movies that you would have seen, who was always eager to join the forces. That was it. And then interestingly, I did my bachelor's, and then at that time I was feeling that maybe the doors are shut for the defense forces. But that time, in that particular year, 2006, I remember Indian Navy thought about digitization. and then they started onboarding computer science graduates into its electrical arm.
Wow.
And I was lucky enough to be the first of those people. Then obviously had to learn a lot of electrical electronics and switch gears from my parent computer science background. But I was doing fairly well. We were that time working more on combat management systems and then integrating networks, doing network centric operations, joint operations, cross ship, cross border, cross sea, kind of tactical thinkings were going on. In a nutshell, then I thought that let's switch to the strength area where I am. And then I did a master's from IIT Madras, which was in computer science. And if you're doing fairly well in the courses, you are given a full-time residentials to our on-campus this thing course. I did that. And from there on, interesting was that I joined an organization which is called Google of the Indian Navy. It's called VUCA, where all the indigenization and all the system engineering happens. In 2017, I did my master's. 19, I joined this organization. We were working on development of crypto solutions, on blockchain technology and quantum technologies, on cloud infrastructure for the defense forces. And yes, in about say 2000 July 2024, my stint with the Navy got over. That's the maximum as a short service officer I could have done. And thankfully, thanks to the Navy, that I got this kind of exposure in which I was able to meet the best academicians of India, rather of the world, best cryptologists, best system designers. And yes, just coming out from there, I switched my gears to corporate, and I have joined a company called Spiro. Spiro happens to be Africa's largest two-wheeler EV player, and I am head cybersecurity and blockchain for them. They have their presence in Benin, Togo, Nigeria, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, and we are planning to scale up to Tanzania and Cameroon. Our tech innovation hub is there in Pune, where I sit. So, in a nutshell, that's the job profile. If you maybe for Indian context, what I can say, if you join two companies like Rapido and Ather, a kind of company that you will come out is Spiro in Africa. And along with the two-wheeler company, the normal company, we also have our own battery charging stations, swap stations. So that's the kind of operation. We are handling humongous amount of data of customers, the swap stations, and doing real-time analytics plus real-time monitoring of those assets on our AI engines.
Wow, lovely. Your journey from computer science to Navy to doing a master's from IIT Madras and then again getting back to a corporate role, it's amazing. I think anybody can aspire to get a similar journey. And now heading blockchain and cybersecurity at Spiro, amazing journey. Kudos to you. Before I take up your questions for our audience, all those who have participated, there is a poll going on right away. You have to participate to get a chance to win the marks. Can somebody make the poll live now? Yes. 10 seconds, we'll close this. Yes, this poll will entitle you to get a certification and being a part of this today's important conversation. So, Prateek, I will go ahead with my first question. And this is around how do you view the role of blockchain in addressing customers' data privacy challenges in India? Like you have been part of both side, the cybersecurity side on the blockchain side, and now you have seen that the blockchain has been evolving and helping a lot. So what's your take on it, Prateek?
See, is it, I mean, your question is much more related to data privacy, right?
Absolutely.
See, first, whenever a technology comes in, it helps only once the regulatory frameworks are there, right? So blockchain up till now was an inquisitive, maybe some enthusiast initially started off with cryptocurrency coming into play. That was the buzzword which attracted everybody. And then came the regulatory body telling that you will be taxed if you're doing that, right? So technology can pull you to places, but once the regulatory body comes into play, which has regulations, then you kind of know that how the technology can now help you or how it can be controlled. So having said that, blockchain up till now was more of helping supply chain, helping integrity coming into place, right? But suddenly when you see data privacy or DPDPA coming into play, you find a new door that is now opening for you, right? So the first principle of data privacy is something called data minimization, right? Because till the time, like, see, normally you can only control or protect something when you know what you have to control or protect, right? When you know the asset. So, and in case of data privacy, data is your asset, right? So first you need to realize that what data is there, and out of that data, what is the PII data, that is personal identifiable information, which you need to protect. It is not that every data needs protection, right?
Absolutely.
Correct. So and then at times companies, what they forget is that they make redundant multiple copies of their data, right? Which in a way, suppose I have two servers running, having the same replica of the same data. Now the database could have been just one, servers could have been two, right? So which also leads to something called shadow IT, because people at times just forget about one particular IT asset and they just concentrate on the live server that's going on. And shadow IT leads to loss of this particular data. So if you do data minimization, you cut down your data, the overhead data, leads to first principle of implementation of controlling the data, right? Now, what blockchain will do over here is, first, it will, when you know that what your data is, it will dovetail your data. It will tell you where from place A to place B your data is flowing, where it is residing, who is controlling your data, and then it brings complete transparency to your data warehouses as well, right? Which earlier it wasn't there. Earlier it was like a jumbled kind of a data lake, data sets everywhere flowing in and out. And people now, obviously now that AI is coming into play, people will try to pump in all kind of data that they can to just fetch results out of it. But here data privacy will 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 probably bring more importance, where you need to control that what data is going into your AI systems, what data is actually flowing in and out, and who is controlling your data. For keeping all this accountability, it's very much important that you need end-to-end supply chain of your data.
Absolutely.
Right? So this is a new word concept that I would like to coin, is a data supply chain management. Right? So because data will keep evolving itself. Right? So you need to have that data supply chain management also coming into play. Now, this will come only once you have something which controls it, kind of a blockchain, which knows hashes moving from one place to another place, right? So in a nutshell, this is what I can tell you right now with respect to data privacy coming into play. Another important or crucial part which people forget and which the government has been entrusting upon is something called consent management, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, suppose if as a customer, I share my data to you or to somebody, right? And you can make replica of that data, multiple replicas of data. Who is going to control it? But in blockchain, I can see that transparency coming into play. So if I'm sharing my data to you, any changes at the backend, if the company or the data processor or data custodian tries to do, will be directly reflected to me because I have that consent management system. So what I see as a future coming up is a blockchain-based consent management system.
Prateek, very important thing. I was making a note while you were talking. The first thing that I made a note is about you termed coined a word called data supply chain management. Would love to hear your view a bit more in a minute or two if you can elaborate it.
See, what I'm trying to say here is that you collect some data of a person, right? Now, as a repository or a data principal has shared that data with you, right?
Yes.
The company is the data custodian. Then you can be the processor, or somebody else might be processing that data, right? But to whom it is going, how it is going, to what extent it has been processed, right? What is the current format of the data or current shape of that data which was initially given to you, right? This can only be tracked if you have a complete supply chain that this particular data that has originated to you. Suppose I fetch like suppose today I ask ChatGPT a prompt that you tell me XYZ. Now this would have originated, this answer would have originated from some data which had been fetched into it, right? Can I prompt to ChatGPT that give me entire supply chain of this data which has, through which you have brought out this answer to me, right? So this is called the data supply chain management.
Lovely. And you also mentioned something around consent management. I know it is a part of DPDP Act which is coming.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
what is the idea? What is going to happen with the consent management? If you can throw a light for all the audience.
See, broadly, again, first, I would like to thank DSCI. I don't know if any member is here or not, but then while just during my
Oh,
end
They, they,
stint,
they are one of our co-partners in hosting this DACI.
so great. So Mr. Vinayak and his team, they while just coming out from the Navy, I did a 6 months tenure in at IIM Lucknow. That again, Navy gives you for transitioning. And during that time, I did the DSCI Certified Data Protection Officer course as well. Now, and there is what I learned all these things, luckily. So, so consent management is a principle in which you have a data principal or a data subject who shares data with a company, right? Now, whenever that data principal is sharing the data, that data principal has certain freedom or rights. So the rights are to edit the data, to delete the data, to modify the data, to port the data, right? This means suppose I share with you my name, age, sex, phone number, my address, or passport detail, Aadhaar detail. At any given time, I have the freedom to edit this, right? At any given time, I have the freedom to ask you to delete it. At any given time, I have the freedom to ask you to share me this data, and I say from today, I don't want your services. I will be using someone else's services. Now, now there has to be an architecture which supports this called consent management. And whatever thing that supports this is the consent management. Interesting part is that whenever you are applying or you are opening a website or a mobile app, generally it is that through a checkbox, they tell that are you okay to share this data with me? And it's by default pressed okay. So it is not like that. As per DPDP, it says that it has to be opt-in. It cannot be always approved, correct? And at times, certain countries, because now I am handling data of multiple countries, so I can say certain countries have that the consent has to be taken every 3 months, right?
Oh,
So the consent management system has to be very easy and friendly to the user. End of the day, you need to realize that it is, though you are trying to mint money out of that data, but that data actually is of someone else. And you need to do a due diligence, plus you need to take care of that data, what is coming into you.
amazing. A very nice insights. I think there are few things might be coming for the very first time to most of the audience, but very, very relevant points. Prateek, I have a second question, which is very similar, again on this similar lines, which is about what are the key privacy concerns that a companies in India should be aware of when handling customers' data? Is it so? Consent management is what I understand from mostly from the consumer point of view, that they can give a consent and get this managed. But
Correct.
from company's point of view, if you can throw some light.
See, if I'm switching gears now, suppose currently I was more favoring to the customer, and
Correct.
company should always be favorable to the customer, because your client is, or your customers is your God. So you should always, till the time you have that concept, you are okay. So having said that, but then what a company should do? First and most important is to do something called a DPIA or called something called ROPA. Now, DPIA is called Data Privacy Impact Analysis. and ROPA is a record of processing agreements, right? So whenever you are making or whenever a data protection officer is coming into your place, then the companies, this thing needs to be carried out. So this tells that for a particular contract or a particular business operation function, how the company is operating. Is it a data controller? Is it a data processor? Right? Or is it switching in between? Because there are at times in which you are the data controller and you are the data processor also. But at times what happens that you share the data with a third party. So here you become a data controller and the third party becomes a data processor. Now, whenever this data flow is happening, you need to have very bound legal contracts among all these entities. Because till now it was okay. But once the law comes, there will be hefty fines if there is a loss or breach of data, personal data. So in that case, until and unless the contracts are clear, whose annual 2% or 4% revenue will be affected in case breach happens, whether you or whether the third party, right? So that needs to be there in your contracts or legal contracts when you are having those agreements, whether it's between you or your sister company or your third party or even fourth party or even suppliers. Right. Now, these all people can even be somebody whom you are sharing your HR data, the HR records of your employees, or the biometric data that you are collecting of your own employees, of your customers, the CCTV data, because these are all some PI data that you are carrying, collecting of a person. So you need to be very sensitive about controlling, handling, and securing this data.
Very valid point. So I understand where you are coming from. And how does it happen? Just an analogy I want to take. When I go to a hotel, morning I give my Aadhaar card to check in. Now I have given who controls it. I don't know what are they going to do with that. Now in that case, what happens? I just want to understand your perspective, because that is where I have opened up and I've given to any hotelier who has given me a good room to stay in that particular city for 1 or 2 nights.
See, hotel industry again is at the outset looks very easy to handle, but it is not. Because first, hotel industry is, you have shared your Aadhaar card data. Ideally, it should be a masked Aadhaar, and you should prefer to share it on through electronic means rather than giving hard copy. But even in case you are sharing your hard copy, in the ideal scenario, because it is a PII data. Now, again, a good part is that the DP DPA though is there, it doesn't mean that it is always digital. So even if in a physical copy your data is being collected, that is your Aadhaar card, it needs to be dealt in the same manner the way how your digital data is to be controlled, right? So they will have their own data retention policies, and then they will be classifying this data what you have shared with them according to the confidentiality or the classification of their data. They will be retaining their data for that particular period of time, right? Now Aadhaar is just one portion of it. So PII is not just limited to direct a way how I can directly approach you. It is also a combinational way how I can approach you. Now, suppose if I know that on date of today, there is a person wearing black t-shirt who has checked into Hotel X, right? Given an allotment of room number 123. And if I combine this, it is Abhishek.
Absolutely.
So this combinational data is also PII data. Right? So this combinational data all needs to be protected in the same manner your Aadhaar has to be protected.
Oh, got it.
Right? And then again, the infotainment systems. At times you go to the hotel and you try to log into your own on their TV. You try to use your own Netflix account. Then you are again sharing your own PII data with them, right? Then the video cameras or the CCTVs on the by lanes are capturing you, right? The keyless access that you get or key card access are also accountable to the PII data. Till such time it was only you was fine, but once it is a minor, then the law is again stringent, where the child's data needs to be protected at a way far secret level than your data. So the complexity in a hotel industry also shifts to a very large complexity than what it is thought. And then hotels also handle data of foreigners, pan countries. So, and every country has their own legalities. Like in Europe, the laws are quite stringent. GDPR is very stringent. So if a hotel in India is giving accommodation to a European citizen, or so his data or her data needs to be kept at the same
Covered.
handled in the same
Data.
level
Absolutely.
how it was done in Europe.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
That's a very valid point.
But interesting part, Abhishek, is what I would like to say is that what blockchain has done to a traditional cybersecurity. Let's now roll back to blockchain. Yeah. So till now, cybersecurity was always to guard something,
Absolutely.
to protect something, to cover something. Right. Easiest words to, if I want to give cybersecurity, was to shut down my laptop or my system and it is 100% secure because it is not on. Right. But what blockchain has done, it has brought a humongous, you can say, change in the concept of cybersecurity, in which it is telling now you be public, share the data. Whatever can be shared, you just share, make it public. Now you don't have to control or protect it. The only thing you need to think about is the integrity of it, right? So that anybody who wants to change it, it can be, it is transparent and you can verify it at any given portion of time that yes, this particular information has been tampered with, right? So this concept, and that's why blockchain will help in data privacy to a large extent.
So do you, in a way, you are saying that traditional cybersecurity, wherein we used to manage data, and the way the blockchain is managing data, the blockchain thing, the second later part has a edge on the traditional cybersecurity of managing and playing with data, correct?
No, I will not say that both have to go together. It cannot be, they
Hand in
don't
hand.
have to hand in hand. It has to go together
Mm.
because you need to control your perimeters, you need to control your boundaries. But the more data is being shared, the more data is being public, then integrity will be as important as confidentiality, right? Because end of the day, both will support. If you talk about the CIA triad, uh, traditional cybersecurity will also focus on confidentiality, availability, and integrity. But once you bring blockchain into place, it assumes that confidentiality is already taken care of, and the most important pillar it is supporting is integrity part of it, while availability is being ensured, because you have immutability coming into it, right? And any changes are reflected throughout the supply chain. So, so what I would like to say is that transparency will be more in at least in places where blockchain is getting implemented.
So how difficult or easy it is to implement a blockchain-based data security management?
With respect to which domain of environment?
Let's talk about something from a customer's perspective. We
Yeah.
have captured their data, and now sometime back we were talking about we consent management based management, correct?
Yeah.
Now, uh, is blockchain based technology is the right technology to support that? I'm just trying to understand, and many people may be curious about, because consent management can be done with a different stack also, tech stack.
It can be done with a different tech stack, but 100% transparency, what I feel, right?
Absolutely.
Where it is beyond control of the owner. Why the concept of end-to-end encryption became so famous when encryption was already there? Right? Understand this. Suddenly you see that Telegram became famous. Then because of Telegram, WhatsApp also imbibed end-to-end encryption. Right? Encryption was already there, but why end-to-end encryption? Means now your data, control of your data is beyond WhatsApp itself. so-called. The servers are beyond control of the server providers, right? And this is what blockchain will bring into play. Because even the blockchain originator, if he wants to tweak or do any changes into data systems or data sets, whatever have been shared, will be 100% live, available transparently to person who has shared and people who are on that blockchain to verify, okay, this particular record has been tampered or edited or tweaked at this particular moment of time. Yeah. So this I think so is not there.
Pratik, very, very important points are coming out of you. I think most of us are enjoying it. I'll just change the gear a bit. Now, when we are talking about blockchain-based data management, uh, how ready is India's regulatory landscape to embrace blockchain-based data privacy solution or a data management? Now, I want to get your perspective from regulatory perspective.
See, we regulatory perspective wise, what I would say, we are there yet not there because uh, we have seen some changes in the government where government is already trying to utilize this technology on land records, right?
Correct.
What I find, any place where there is a middleman, right? Any technology or any government non-government entity where there is a middleman coming into place, blockchain will be very handy, right? Because it will give you the trail of data, information as well as money.
Correct.
Right? So, and the regulations will be very easy to be implemented. That's why you see in supply chain, it has been helping, right? Many of the big companies are, say IBM or Oracle, or many of the big companies are relying upon utilizing this technology. But to imbibe a technology as a nation, there has to be a national level, you can say, committee which needs to think about and maybe implement it. The way quantum technology is being thought, in the same manner, we might have to implement through a regulatory body focus and then think about this technology adoption.
Absolutely. I think I agree with you there. It's not only at one level. So banking has their bodies. They have to come up with regulatory bodies. IFSCA is working on something pertaining to blockchain-based data management. I believe the government agencies, because a lot of land records or even military people, all that records are supposed to go as per the national blockchain framework on blockchain. Now, once all these data are going on that, a regulatory has to follow it, or else.
Correct.
In a way, we believe that regulations are always behind innovations, but here very soon we have to try to catch up.
So fortunately, unfortunately, that's how India is, because I mean, it takes time to understand. Have you been developing the technology, it would have been easier to make the regulatory bodies understand it and implement it, right? So because we are adopting this technology, right? Blockchain was not made by India itself, right? It was other way around. It was invented by someone else, right? Even the bitcoins have been, so from where it coined up. So first understand the technology, then have the expertise itself, right? Otherwise, the regulators or the bodies can make a framework and design everything, but if you don't have in-house talent to implement, what will it do, right? So it takes time to nurture the talent. Then a company like SecureDApp coming into play, who thinks about securing the blockchain itself, right? Till such time this ecosystem evolves. Parallelly, believe me, the government will also make a significant move in which their policy will have the regulatory body coming into play.
Absolutely.
To finally transition to a good path ahead.
Pratik, very valid point. I'd like to understand the bit of perspective from Spiro. Like you guys are a leading player when it comes to EV ecosystem. How are you managing data there? Like data of vehicles, charging stations, and users who are like continuously you are collecting their data. What are they doing? Where are they? Huh? And how?
See, yeah, please complete your.
And how can blockchain help ensure these data remain secure? Are you using a blockchain framework to maintain that, first of all?
So currently we are using blockchain for our smart contracts, all I can say. These are the third parties or fourth party vendors whom we are interacting with. So at times what in a company, what happens is, suppose if I am buying my some spare parts from a OEM, right? And I have a contract with the OEM that they will meet my XYZ requirement for 5 years. But this OEM is buying some spares from a fourth party. Till the time he has or that company has a 5-year agreement with that fourth party, my 5-year agreement is of no use. Right? So we realize that it's important to have a transparent contract in place. Right? The contract that I am having with a very big player, I need to see what are the contracts that he has with their third party vendor. So that's a place where we thought that let's have a smart contract in place, and is what we have implemented. Now, having said that, this is the current implementation of blockchain, what we have done. In parallel, because we were cross-border, cross-territory, and cross-country, we customize our own data privacy tool, which has its own consent management system. Now, this gives me a real-time situational awareness of my data privacy standard currently. Where do I stand? Where I was 6 months before, where I am now. If I am having a new engagement with a new asset financer or with a bank or with a company, how will the current posture be impacted? Right. So this complete tool has been again patented by us. We have filed a patent on this, and then I was the originator for that particular tool. But see the kind of data that we are collecting. It's not only the customer data. Every customer goes to a swap agent where he tries to swap the vehicle. For every battery swap, he has to pay money.
Correct.
Now these swap stations are connected into our charging infra, in which we are getting paid for all these swaps. Plus, our bikes are sponsored by some XYZ asset financer, right? So we have contracts with data sharing contracts with these asset financiers also. Now, had it been only one country, it would have been easy. Like I said, we have almost 6 to 7 countries. All 6 to 7 countries have their own data privacy laws.
Absolutely.
Right. So what we thought, let's follow the golden rule book of GDPR, and then try to see real life or real time 24/7 based on this particular country's data privacy law. Where do I stand? Right. So this is a tool that we have conceptualized, and yes, interesting part that you brought, and was while I was thinking about this seminar again, was how blockchain can probably help me because of this transparency coming into play. It can also give me a 24/7 live status of my data privacy standards. Right? Because today, if I want to see that what is the impact of XYZ data breach, how it has impacted, where do I lie? Now I can tweak into my backend systems and I can fake it and I can tell you, right? But if it is on a complete blockchain, then there is no way to hide the records, right?
Absolutely.
So blockchain technology will probably also help companies or the regulators to strictly come on to auditing. Auditing will probably, because it will be a transparent auditing coming into play. Either it is financial, right, or process management. If your records are completely put on a transparent, immutable chain, then it can be monitored, regulated as in when you want to do it.
Absolutely. Whenever somebody wants to go back and check the blockchain historic, we have a feature in our Secure Watch wherein any transaction which has been done even in the past, and if it has been on a blockchain and that product is working with us, they can just choose the date, backdated, and see the all at
Correct.
one place. So absolutely bang on. When are we seeing Spiro bike in India?
So we were planning to probably launch somewhere in this year, but then early this year, in the month of January, February, we got our bike ARAI certified. So ARAI is the Automotive Regulatory Authority of India. Any bike that comes into any two-wheeler that is going to be launched by any company has to be ARAI certified. So we got them certified. So very soon you will be finding our bikes launching up in India.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
we all are looking forward to it. Huh?
Yeah.
Now I'll take up
Yeah.
a question again from your industry, which is very relevant. And so when it comes to EV players, often collaborate with multiple third parties. Somewhere you are also talking about battery suppliers, grid operators, insurers, and all. Now, how can blockchain help manage those protected shared customer data across this, so that there is no misalignment or mismanagement of a customer data? Because at every point of time they are supposed to swap a battery or even swapping a vehicle in some cases.
See, uh, see, in this case, interesting is that what we are also trying to regulate is that it is not a fuel, right?
Hmm.
But it needs to work like a fuel, battery,
Hmm.
right? So whenever a customer comes to you, you have to charge that person and then give the battery to him.
Hmm.
But what if the charging agent or the swapping agent frauds, right?
Hmm.
That person doesn't put into my books and then he swaps the battery and then gives it and he takes the money on himself. And these are some abuse cases that generally come into battery swaps, right? Because unlike charging, where it is a particular station where you put the charging plug into your bike and then the charging instantly starts based on the payment that you have done. Here, there is a person who is there as a middleman to work for you. Unless that is your own company person, which based on the company, either you have your own people or you give it to a franchisee, right? So whenever you have such kind of situations, you will have humongous frauds that are coming in,
Hmm.
right? These bikes are also given on, say, loan to people, right? By
Oh.
through the banks,
Hmm.
right? And the people at times fail to pay the loan back to the banks.
Hmm.
That these are some peculiar cases that are very common in Africa, right?
Hmm.
But to regulate all these things, you need to have a control environment where I think blockchain can probably help, at least in binding the battery to the bike, binding the battery to the swap station, or binding the battery to the swapping network,
Hmm.
right? And then it will also give me trail of my bike, of my battery, since the inception when it was commissioned to decommission. It will give me end-to-end trail of when it came, how many swaps it happened, and when it is decommissioned. Will also help me realize my investments that I made have actually fructified to it or not. Say if I buy I buy a battery of say 20,000 rupees. Over a period of time, did it give me 5x the return, recovering my investment also, and through charging, has it contributed back into my profit and loss? Right. But to come to these analytics, you need to have complete mapping of your ecosystem, which traditionally through IoTs you can do, which we are trying to do. But then there are some anomalies which do come into play, and which I think blockchain can probably help us leveraging that. At least implementing data minimization to a large extent, and understanding the, again coming back to the same word that I coined,
Supply
having my
chain.
data supply chain. Yeah.
Data supply chain. I made a note of that word. I will use it. That's amazing. Pratik, I'll just put you on hold for about 15-20 seconds.
Sure.
I think there is a time for a second poll, which will go, and I'm just letting all the audience, letting them know that they all, whoever is participating and are part of this webinar today, are going to get certified with a level up blockchain based SecureDApp certification, which has been worked out with a lot of various bodies. Kindly take up this question. We'll give about 10 seconds for all of you to participate.
So meanwhile, Karan here, uh, I would request everyone to participate in this poll because the one who participates in the poll and gives us the best relevant answers, they will be the winner of this session. And just after this poll, I will be announcing the winner of our previous session. So stay tuned.
Thanks, Karan. Thank you for the update. I think most of you have taken this call. I'm also letting you know that I have a few questions to close, and post that we'll be taking up all questions, not all, most of your questions, wherein would like to see Prateek's point of view on those questions. Moving back to my questions. So Prateek, the question is again around your industry as
Sir, the announcement, sir,
yeah,
the regarding, yeah. So I'll just share my screen. Please allow me to do so. And if you are able to see my screen, do let me know. Are you able to see my screen, sir?
not yet.
Okay. Yeah, Atindra, can you grant me the access, please? Yeah, thank you. So I'm sharing my screen now. Yeah. Is it visible?
Not yet.
All right. Then we'll take this at the end, so we can
Okay.
continue.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Karan. I'll switch back to the questions. So, I'd like to take your perspective as EV adoption scales in India, how important it is to build customers' trust around data uses, and can blockchain transparency be a differentiator?
See, Abhishek, understand that earlier it was only vehicles were meant for commutation from point A to point B,
Correct.
right? And that is how we used to have in our times. It was bullock carts, then there were cycles, then there were two-wheelers, then four-wheelers. Even airports or flights were being used like that. But now the concept is gradually changing, right? Now a four-wheeler, when you are going to buy, it is not just you fill the petrol and you move from point A to point B. Your AC should be functioning. Infotainment system should be functioning really well. Kids should be enjoying it. Comfort should be there, right? Can you sit and order Uber Eats from the vehicle in which you are traveling, right? Can SOS signal be sent from your place if you are in danger? Can police be informed?
Can they trace you?
Can they trace you? Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if you are buying a vehicle and you are giving it to somebody else to drive, if that person is defaulting, can you control that vehicle remotely or safely? Right. And now this is all when you are driving it. Tomorrow, in few years, you will find driverless vehicles coming into play, which is already there in US or in countries outside, where you just sit. There is no driver. You ask that vehicle to park you to a place. He will go and take you to the finest restaurant where you want to have, park you in the most difficult situations, and you will be very happy even without the driver. So this is already happening in the world. UAVs are already there. Software defined vehicles are already there, right? Same goes for EVs. EVs rather are a step ahead than traditional, right? Because earlier you were only tracking the battery, the vehicle. Now you are tracking the batteries as well. Life cycle of batteries. Now these all will bring lot of you can say analytics coming into play, right? Driverless vehicles. There are vehicles which people are using, Tesla or the Teslas of the world, in which the vehicles premium or cost goes with respect to the PS4 or PS5 or the gaming consoles that are there in the vehicle. It's no more about commutation from point A to point B.
It has
It is
nothing to do with the travel.
Yes, it is nothing to do with the travel. It is becoming more of safety, of security, of entertainment and luxury. So you will find this swift change coming into automotive industry very soon, right? Having said that, if so much is happening, it can only happen when there is real-time data sharing coming into play, right? Of vehicle and non-vehicle both data. Vehicle data, obviously, how the vehicle needs to operate. But non-vehicle data is the customer data who is sitting, either as a rider, owner, or maybe commuter, right? And a lot of analytics which the company owner is doing at the back end. Now, who will ensure that there is a legal foundation on the company where data privacy is controlled? Right. So somebody needs to regulate it. And parallelly, these can only be done with some traditional approaches which may fail, is or newer technology which will come, is blockchain will probably be one of the enablers towards it. Or you can say technologies like everybody will try to use analytics onto this huge amount of data that you are generating every second, right? But then there has to be a ecosystem to protect this data also. So the instant if you ask me, then blockchain will definitely do that. And again, this data also requires a data supply chain, right? And data minimization. Because if you are populating this data, it is like a sensor, your heartbeat sensor, which is generating every second or every millisecond data, right? So do you require that much amount of data first? Because your IoT systems or your sensors will always be gathering this knowledge. But do you require that much amount of knowledge? Or even partial knowledge is okay for you. So you need to minimize the data. Moment you minimize the data, your half of the work is already done to protect. Because understand, earlier, if you have to protect a globe and you have to protect only India. So if you have to protect only India, so your threat landscape has already narrowed. Right. So data minimization will always be the key for data privacy. Right. And data visibility will only come once you have that chain to tell you that data is flowing from which all places or what all path it is taking.
Prateek, you mentioned about data minimization. Can you just explain it in a layman terms? What does it mean?
So data minimization is rather, Abhishek, very easy to be informed to you. Just suppose or remember that let me give you a very layman example to it, right? You have a smartphone with you, right?
Yes. Most
of you have, right? How many images do you take or pictures do you take in a day?
We don't know.
Let's assume 100.
Absolutely.
If you are a very young child, you will be taking hooked to Instagram, you will take maybe 100 pics. A person like you or my age may take 10, 5 images.
Absolutely.
Now these images go into your mobile, right? 80 to 90% of us have, if you are using smartphone, have given access to Amazon, to Apple Cloud, also given access to Google Cloud. Now all these images are getting replicated to Google Cloud also, Apple Cloud also, and to your native mobile as well.
See.
Do you require your single image to be present everywhere? Is it required?
No, not at all. In fact,
not at all.
There might be some private pictures also of my kid playing or something. We capture.
But it's okay. Age-old person doesn't realize, right? And your data, your one single photo is at 3 places.
That's very scary.
So, had you not given access to Google Photos or Apple Cloud, right, your data would have been minimized. Now, if you have to protect that single image, which all places will you protect? At Apple Cloud also, Google Cloud also, and your native mobile also.
I think first of all, we should not have given the access to cloud, but
no. See, generally people do give access to the cloud because cloud generally helps you in case your mobile is lost.
Correct.
Right. So the cloud will at least help you to replicate the data or get your data retrieval.
Correct.
But if that is happening, then delete the data on your mobile. Right. So now this is a very layman example that I am giving you of one particular data which is replicating into 3 places. In our day-to-day activities, we generally replicate the same data that we are collecting into n number of places. Right. Whether in our laptops, in our hard disks, right? Whether in our pen drives, whether in our mobiles, you will find the same image, same data replicated, same confidential data getting replicated at various places.
Absolutely.
Now, you are a human being. The way you are behaving is the way if you think that your IT manager or the person who is responsible for security or data steward, we say, who handles the data, will not behave. So it's a misnomer. That person, being a human, will also behave like that. He will also keep multiple copies of the data just to be very secure, so that if A is lost, then B is protected, right? But and here is where data minimization comes into play. Only keep that data in place which actually is required,
which is needed.
from which which is needed. Otherwise, don't keep the copy of that data. Don't replicate that data. It's not required. Even one image will do the same work which 10 images will do, or 10 copies will do.
And in fact, to add to it, these datas and the images are getting used to train their models, which we
Correct. Now generally, see, like we are recording this video.
Yes.
Right. There is a very easy concept in corporate which people generally do, is just let's record each and every meeting that is going to happen with anybody. It's a very, and then people try to do analytics on their transcripts and then get a summary out of it. Right. Now understand, now if that is a confidential discussion which was happening, now your confidential discussion is saved at 3 places. One is the summary. One is the recording, one is the transcript, and one is the email itself, which had the trails of this entire discussion. Correct. So your data, which earlier was very simple to be managed over a phone call or over video call chatting, where recording was not there. This recording feature has now explicitly hampered or explicitly paved a path to protect one more PII data which is getting stored into your system.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I think what I was expecting when I asked you about data minimization, the way you elaborated it with the analogy, it was amazing. Even I had not thought of the analogy which you gave, that one data or one image at 3 places at cloud at one time. Amazing. Before I take up this is my last question, and then post that we'll open it to the audience. There are some questions there. Prateek, I would love to understand, since you are from EV space, and what is your take? How can startups in EV space, there are a bit of difference between all the questions on this one, space, leverage blockchain, not just for privacy, but also for compliance with upcoming data protection law like DPDP Act?
See, first and foremost is to understand that what data are you collecting and what data are you processing, right? Who is sharing your data? That assessment needs to be done. That is called record of processing agreements, where either through contracts, either through direct customer client, or either if you are sharing the data with somebody, first do a complete assessment of your company, right? And understand that what data are you collecting and which all data is actually PII data. So focus on the PII, the personal identifiable information. Focus only that part of the data, right? And subsequently, once that is handled quite well, then what people can probably leverage is which hardware is fetching repeated data, right? Because generally people don't focus upon hardware security, but the most leakages that happen is from hardware weaknesses only, right? Because software tech stack is now, with AI coming into play, it's very easy on-click kind of what you say, SaaS, security as a service kind of a thing, not software as a service. So you just click and then you will get API security, you will get web application security, you will get whatever you want. But privacy by design or security by design is very hard to be implemented, and it takes time to implement that, right? So at the onset, when you are planning your journey as an EV player, right? When you are designing your EV, when you are designing your hardware, be it your battery, the BMS system, be it the IoTs that are handled with it, be it the display that is there on the bike, any UART, any JTAG, any external port, any USB port which is there on the bike, do a due diligence whether it is required or it is not required. If it is not required, then what I said, data minimization, the same thing is port minimization. Just cut across, close those doors which are actually not required. Right? How simple it is to implement security if you have just one door in your house, and how difficult it is if you have 10 doors in your house, and how difficult it is if you have all those 10 doors made of glass.
Yes.
Right? So there is a very simple concept of KISS, which I always say, which is keep it simple, silly.
Wow.
Or
Nice.
or now it is keep it small and simple. The more small, the more simple you design your concepts, right? And the more easy it is. It will be very easy to manage, control, and implement. Right? So this is, and that's what we say, security by design or privacy by design concept only comes when your safety has been thought at the very concept level. Because see, now world is shifting from when security was taken as at a later on thought. It is always shifting left, right? That's why we are moving to a shift left kind of a concept. Let's do it early. Let's implement it early. So even for an EV player, I would always recommend that collect data only what is required. Don't collect what is not required. Because the more data you collect, the more chances are that you will face problems. More chances are that leakages will bound to happen.
Absolutely. Prateek, this question is out of context, not pertaining to security. Someone has texted me, but I think they are listening to you on WhatsApp, saying that if somebody wants to get into EV manufacturing in India as a startup founder, do you say this is a right time, or where are we when it comes to the whole of world developing a EV vehicle?
First and foremost, no time is wrong. Right? There were big players, but then there was Blue Smart. Right? So there were big players, but still there was Ether. Right? So only thing is have that differentiation factor into your head. Whether that thing will probably meet the demand of the market or not. Right? Whether what you are conceptualizing is actually need of the hour or not. Right? Today also, if you go to LinkedIn, you will find so many people placing Blue Smart because of the customer delivery it was doing. Right?
Absolutely.
So become that different. Always stick to that differentiating factor that you are trying to bring. Right? As far as you are doing that, it's a very big market. It is still covered only 3 to 5%. Believe me, it has humongous exposure because we have interacted with big players, and there is still room for so many people. We are only talking still about say urban people. We haven't even entered in EVs into rural and sub-rural sector.
Absolutely.
And there is a humongous demand that flows out of there. Right? At least in India, if it is booming up in Africa, where the charging infra is very costly, in India it is still relatively very less, and you have good solar plants to aid into your alternate energy requirements as well. Only thing that definitely is there is that in Africa, what the government is doing in many of the countries, they have told, see, Africa generally implements two-wheelers as taxis. That's why we are focusing more on taxis. The way Rapido does in India. In Uganda specifically, they have told from 1st January onwards, all two-wheeler taxis will be EVs.
Oh, by default, it has to be EV vehicle.
It has to be EV, yes. So that's why that push, if it comes from government, that impetus, then definitely the EV adoption by not by the company. Say company has to sell it to somebody, right? So the person will start using that EV only once the regulatory body tries to put these kind of things on control. Which say India people at government is also trying, because they have given say tax cuts on the road taxes is free. So you will find EV to be progressing much at a larger stage.
Thank you. I think with that we are done. Let us get into some questions. We are open to
Sorry to
questions
interrupt, sir.
from.
Abhishek, sir, sorry to interrupt.
Yes,
Uh,
Kunal.
we
I
will,
can see you have raised your hand. Go ahead.
yeah, so we will be announcing the winner of
Yeah, please.
previous week.
Hmm.
So let me just share my screen. I hope it is visible.
Yeah, a screen is visible, but nothing on the screen. Congratulations, Vikas Maurya, winner
Okay.
of Week 1 SB SecureDApp Bharat Security Initiative. Congratulations, Vikas. I'm sure team will get in touch with you for participating in the quiz. What I know is you have got a good SecureDApp marks coming to your way. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Kunal.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, you guys can continue, please.
Yeah, if you can stop. Yeah, so I'll take up these questions. Now I'm taking a questions from the chat box, Prateek.
Yeah, please. Let's
So
go
there
ahead.
is a question by Jaya Tripathi. This is about smart contract create coded rules for the blockchain transaction, written in Solidity, etc. I'm not sure what is this question, Abhishek sir. Sir, how? Okay, this question is to me. Sir, how smart contract work in blockchain applications? Uh, I'm sure if you are aware, the advent of smart contract has come from Ethereum mostly. Before, prior to that, it was not. In order to ensure that a lot of enterprise level solutions are built, used, and tracked. Now, by default, smart contracts are the lines of codes which works on the logic of if and but, and it is self-immutable and self-replicable. So what all it takes is an instruction from you on the very first time, and from there it starts replicating on its own. So these are, in a nutshell, it is lines of codes, and which helps blockchain to be a blockchain, because a lot of dApps that you see or DeFi that you see are built using the smart contracts on the back end. In blockchain, you do not interact with human, you interact with smart contracts. Jaya question is not clear, Prateek. Smart contracts create coded rules for, oh, somebody has answered him. Okay.
Okay.
So Mridul has a question which is about, if properly used, can access control mechanism like ABAC or a context-aware access control framework help with regards to safeguarding PII data? Can you see this?
Should I answer that?
Yeah, it is for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely, Mridul, your yeah, I think I just missed it somewhere, but then what you have highlighted is correct as well, because ABAC or RBAC, rule-based access control as well. These are ways how you can also protect your PII data, which at least ensures this, that your data is available to or the data is being shared to a person who has real authority to utilize or consume that data, right? Suppose I'm having a customer's data, and it is being shared to my PAN organization. Now, believe me, HR of my department really uh, has no right to access that data, right? So, because it is a customer data, why will my HR require that data ever? It's more of my operation and maintenance team, or my support team, or my finance team to be involved or to be aware of that data. So our role-based access control or access control mechanism generally or definitely plays a pivotal role in implementing and safeguarding PII.
Thanks, Prateek. Prateek, if you can take the second question, next question, how can India's data privacy laws like DPDPA work with blockchain when data is stored across borders?
See, data is stored across borders. Generally, most of the data works on cloud these days. People are either utilizing AWS, GCP, Azure, or other cloud players, and for backup recovery or BCP DR, or even for uh, uh, keeping it as a replica, they use it cross border. So in this case, it first depends on whether the law allows it or not. Like generally, in our case, Kenya has a very stringent law in which the local copy needs to be maintained. You can process it, transfer it only to the countries which have adequate data protection policies or laws in place. But then a local copy has to be PII data's local copy needs to be maintained in the country, right? So first, it totally depends on which country you are operating it. In case of India, yes, India does allow to utilize or leverage it cross-border, but cross-border, see, once it is available on cloud, and good part about blockchain is that it brings transparency. So as far as transparency is brought, whether your data is stored, believe me, cross-border or cross-continent or cross-planet, it really doesn't matter, because blockchain will definitely bring that transparency, immutability, that any tweaking or any change will get reflected.
Sure, that's amazing point. I think there is one more question related to that.
And just
Go ahead.
because Rashik has put this, try to search about how zero knowledge proofs are helping in implementing data privacy, right? Also see how changes data privacy will bring up once quantum computers come into play, right? Because these two technologies will again play a pivotal role. So zero knowledge proof is something, just for the curiosity of the audience, is something that I suppose I want to know whether you are age 18 or not. But I asked you an indirect question, and the answer that you give to that indirect question tells me that your age is 18 plus, right? So this is something which is a zero knowledge, and this is a zero knowledge proof. You will find zero knowledge proofs or ZK, VM, ZK concepts coming into a large implementation stages in blockchain and also in data privacy tools subsequently in years to come. And that's an interesting part in case anybody is trying to do some development. Any startup person is here who is trying to make a new tool. Even in Nalcon this year, this concept was discussed at a quite large level, in which how ZK VMs are being used for bug bounties and capture the flag events.
No, when it comes to data, I'll just add one point. JKPs, either based on snarls or snarks, it's these are revolutionary concept which has come, and it is going to help completely the way we manage the data in future. And DPDP Act you are talking about, I think these kind of solutions are needed to help it during the implementation. I will take up the last question, Prateek, and post that we'll wind up. But let's take the question from Ahmed Abdullah. Can platform like Google Classroom, for example, integrate blockchain technology to enhance data privacy and transparency? So if so, what potential impact could this integration have on the competitors within the edtech ecosystem? Would you like to take up, or shall I answer, Prateek?
So I think you can answer, and then probably I'll add into this.
So the question is particularly from the edtech ecosystem, and can platform like Google Classroom, for example, integrate blockchain? Of course, Google Classroom, it is up to the Alphabet ecosystem to decide what tech stack they are going to use. But if the question is about can they do that, of course they can do that. When it comes to about how are they going to enhance the data privacy and transparency, now they try to comply with the lands of country rules of that particular country. So every country Google try to get try to implement the rules of that particular nation. So if the rule says that they are supposed to comply with the data privacy and transparency, suppose GDPR in Europe, they are supposed to do that, and they are doing it in Europe, while they do not share the same kind of data privacy in India until DPDP Act comes into picture. So of course they have to comply with the local country's rules, and they are quite capable of doing it. Prateek, you can take up.
I'll just support to what Abhishek you have suggested, is that, see, Google is, I mean, we know the kind of player they are, like Meta is, right? Alphabet is. So whether they can do it, they must definitely already be doing it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So in all honesty, right? But definitely, what you will see gradually is that the AI systems or AI agent which are there sitting along with your Google Classroom or even Zoom that we are talking right now will be probably prompting in place or sharing you well ahead in time. Recently, I've seen some AI note making machines already piping you up that do you agree for your data to be collected because we might process your data. Are you agreement to the data privacy laws that our company has? So these smart knowledge based and consent managed AI systems you will find coming into play even in virtual classrooms like Google Classroom or Zoom or other players which you will find in future. Impact, definitely you will have more players coming in parallelly, and revolution generally happens when there is a need. When COVID hit, you see Zoom piping up, people
Absolutely.
using less of other platforms. Google was there, Skype was there, but you saw Zoom picking up during that time, right? So the more secure environment you will give to somebody, people will start switching to the best of the market.
Thank you, Prateek. With that, I think we should conclude. But before I conclude, I would like to say thank you for coming on SecureDApp's Bharat Security Initiative, Episode 2, Prateek. You have been an amazing guest. A lot of inputs you have shared. And what I get an insight from my team that we have about 250 people, around 50 from Zoom, around 200 plus from YouTube. And there are people on the X and all, which data is yet to come, has been listening to you for last 1.5 hour. Thank you for being so kind and sharing your insights with all of us. I would also like to say thank you to all the audience who have been patient, who have been participating in the polls, who have been listening and trying to understand how we as a country are going to manage, secure the data, and how blockchain is going to play a pivotal role in that. At SecureDApp, we have been building this space for last 3 years and have got amazing product when it comes to smart contract audit, when it comes to real-time security of a smart contract, blockchain forensic. We have built almost all kind of tools to help you and to help you out when the need comes. And do not forget, last but not least, if I forget this, my team will come to me to subscribe and like SecureDApp's YouTube handle. I would also like to say thank you to CISEC, Cybersecurity Wing of Karnataka government, managed by Indian School of Science, Bangalore, for supporting us, GeneSurf Incubation for coming forward and helping us in managing this, and CCO Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, Hyderabad, for being a co-partner in this particular initiative. Together with these 3-4 partners, we have been doing this season 1 of SecureDApp's Bharat Security Initiative. Tune up to the next week session for SecureDApp's Bharat Security Initiative on 25th on 2nd of May at 4:30 for another conversation. Till then, bye. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Prateek.
Thank you.